Alright, in this video, I'm going to show you how to make your silhouette portrait in Photoshop. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and get set up first. So the first thing I want you to do is you're going to go to Google Classroom and you are going to log into the assignment and we're going to click on add-ons. This is going to take you to the folders where I have added some accessories and things that you can use for your project. And first we have this Bobs and Bits and Bobs. These are like hair pieces, eyelashes, and things like that that you can use if you choose so. To download it, you're going to click on the three dots and hit download. It'll download that file. And then you can also click on the choppy hair .abr. This is a Photoshop brush. So go ahead and download this one. And then we're going to go ahead and get started. All right, so you already have your photo in Google Classroom, already taken. So what we're going to do first is we're going to load some brushes in Photoshop. So to load your brushes, you're going to go to Edit. I might have to open up a file to do this. Brushes, let's see where my brushes are. All right, let's see where my brushes are. So if I go to Window and I go to Brushes, it's going to open up my brush panel that looks like this. Okay, so when you first open up your brushes, you're not going to have all of these brushes that I have. You're going to have four. I don't remember off the top of my head which ones are the regular. I know there's general, I think it's like watercolor, and then maybe calligraphy. But we're going to add some additional brushes here. So to do that, you're going to click on these three lines, and you're going to hit Legacy Brushes. So when you hit Legacy Brushes, it's going to open up these brushes right here, this folder. So anytime you see a little arrow, a little pop-out arrow like this, if you click on the arrow, it's going to open up and there'll be more things underneath it. Just like your tools over here, if you click and hold your tools open, it's going to pop up some more tools. All right, so we have default brushes. There's thousands, maybe not thousands. Okay, maybe there are thousands of brushes in here. There's a lot of brushes in here, right? So we have some frames, we have some all kinds of stuff. Okay, so you just got to go in here and look and see what's in here. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to change how we can see our brushes. So to do that, you're going to click on the three lines again. And we're going to make sure that the brush name is showing, the brush stroke is showing, and the brush tip is showing. And this will allow you to see what the actual brush is going to look like if you just click one time and dot it on your page. Okay, so we're going to get to brushes in just a little bit. All right, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to open up our picture. So we're going to go to File, Open, and we're going to find our download folder. And find, I might have to pause it. I have a bazillion and one files on here. So let me pause it and I'm going to find my file and open it up. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click on my picture and hit open. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to isolate our subject by selecting it. Okay, so we want some tools to be open when we use Photoshop. So we always want to have our toolbar open. Okay, so if this is not open, you're going to go to Window and Tools. Okay, and then we want to make sure that we have all of our tools open. The next thing you're going to have open is your option bar, and that's right here. So if you don't see a check mark, you're going to click on it, and it's going to open up that thing that you just clicked on. So I like to collapse my toolbar so it's stacked like this, okay? And this allows me to, I don't know, I feel like it's easier for me to find the things that I need. You can uncollapse it and collapse it. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to select our subject. So our selection tools are here, 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 and then there's a couple more, but usually this one is going to do the best job, object selection. But anytime you have one of these selection tools open, you've got this select subject button up here that pops up. So if you click select subject, Photoshop will do its magic and make a selection around your object, okay, whether it be a person or whatever. All right, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to make a copy of our person. So to make a copy, we can do Command J. Oh, just kidding. Why did that not work? Try that again. Oh, I think because that was... Oh, okay, let's try it again. So I can right click. Why is it not working? Why is nothing working? Oh, I think I was in a menu. Okay, Command J, sorry. There was a menu, and now what that does, it gives us a second layer. So it made a copy of our person. Okay, so now we're going to turn this completely black so it's a silhouette. Okay, that's the easy breezy part. So we're going to go here to our adjustment layer at the bottom of our layer panel. Oh, that's one more thing you have to have open is your layer panel. If you don't see your layer panel, you're going to go to Window and click on Layers. At the bottom of your layer panel, you're going to click on the Adjustment Layer button. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go to, we can do this a couple ways. We can do solid color, we can do hue saturation. Let's go hue saturation. And then what I'm going to do is where it says lightness, I'm going to drag that all the way down. Okay, perfect, just like that. So it should be black now. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a brand new document. So you have tabs here in Photoshop, just like in Google Chrome or Google whatever web browser you use, Safari. But I need to make a new document. So I can do that a couple ways from here. So I can go to File, New, or Control N is the shortcut. And I'm going to name this my first initial last name underscore silhouette. And I'm going to make sure that it is set to inches. I'm going to drop down this arrow and change it to inches. This is very important. I'm going to make this 5 inches by 7 inches, and I'm going to make sure my resolution is set to 300 pixels per inch. And then I'm going to leave my background set to white, and I'm going to hit create. Alright, so now I have 2 tabs. I have this one and this one. I'm going to go back to this picture, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to merge these 2 layers together. So I'm going to click on this one, and I'm going to hold shift on my keyboard and click on the second one, and now they're both kind of highlighted gray. I'm going to right click with my mouse, and I'm going to go to merge layers. Okay, so what that did, it made them one, and there's only one thing I need to move. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this layer, and I'm going to drag it way over here to this tab up here, to my blank document. I'm not going to let go until I drop it right onto that artboard. All right, and now I can move it around. I can make it bigger if I wanted to. So to make it bigger, I can't how do I make it bigger? I have to show my transform controls. To do that, Command T will allow me to show my transform controls. And then, I'm going to have to hold shift when I stretch it out. Okay, we don't want to make it too big because we're going to add a frame to this in just a second. All right, so here's where you could come in and clean this up if you wanted to. So we're going to use what is called the eraser brush. Okay, and it does exactly what you think it does. So the eraser tool is right here. It's the letter E. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in a little bit closer. Command plus to zoom in. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of cut this. I'm going to kind of give it like just the head and shoulder area. And then she had this weird scarf on, or the scarf, but it looks weird in her silhouette. So I'm going to get rid of that as well. Okay. So your eraser tool is a brush. Okay. And anytime you have a brush, you're using a brush in Photoshop. If you want to make your brush bigger or smaller, your bracket keys will allow you to do that. Your bracket keys are located next to the letter P on the keyboard. Your left bracket, by tapping it, will make your brush smaller, and your right bracket will make your brush bigger. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I am going to come in here, and I'm going to just, I don't know what happened. That was crazy. All right, let's try that again. I'm just going to click, and I'm going to drag and just kind of erase that spot, but then it looks a little weird. So I might need to come in here and soften this up just a little bit. So if you have a drawing tablet, this is where that tablet's going to come in handy right now, because it gives you a lot more control if you can use a pen. Okay, so you want it to be as smooth. Oh my gosh, I don't know why I keep doing that. Smooth as possible. So in class, we're going to use the drawing tablets to make it a little bit easier on you. Okay, and then I can come in here and like clean up her hair a little bit if I wanted to. Now, you don't want to make it look too fake, so I don't know, I'm going to leave that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just make my brush bigger, and I'm just going to kind of draw a little, cut off the rest of the pieces I don't want. All right, so that looks okay. The next thing I am going to do is I'm going to add a background. So in Google, now if you want to like go in and accentuate her eyes, you could do that using the, which one was it? The Bits and Bobs file that I posted in Google Classroom. So to do that, I'm going to go to File, Open, and I'm just going to show you. You don't have to. This is completely up to you. I'm going to open up this Bits and Bobs file, and what I'm going to do is grab, let's grab these eyelashes. So to grab them, you got to make sure that it's on the right layer. Okay, so what we want to do is make sure that Auto Select is checked. When we click on the Auto Select button, what happens is any layer, if you notice over here, whenever I click on a layer, it's changing where my selection is happening. Okay, so I'm going to click on this layer, and that's going to grab these lashes, and I can move them around. I'm just going to copy. So Command C, I'm going to jump back to my silhouette, and then Command V to paste. So what happens is it pastes that, it pastes that image right in the center. So you might have to move some things around. So I'm going to resize this. So Command T to transform, and just kind of shrink it down. And this is where you might have to zoom in. Command plus will allow you to zoom in. If you hold space bar and click and drag while you're holding the space bar, it will allow you to move around your artboard. Okay. All right. Oh my gosh. Okay, so let's go ahead and put these right here. So she has a little bit, but what if I wanted them a little bit bigger, right? So go right here, and just like that. That actually looks okay. So this is over here on my layers. This is before, and this is after. Okay. You can also, there's some hair pieces here if you wanted to add a little bit more hair, if you wanted to give yourself a ponytail, or guys, if you wanted to like grab some of this curly hair, whatever. But essentially it should look just like you, okay? All right, the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna add a background. So to add your background, you're gonna use that file that I posted in Classroom, and that is gonna be the add-ons. Okay, so we're going to go to wallpaper, and you're going to choose, oops, this shouldn't be there. We're going to choose one of these wallpapers. I don't care which one you choose. I'm going to use this one. So we want it to look old-timey, right? From the early, like, 19th century, late 18th century, something old. All right, so I'm going to click download, and then I'm going to go to Photoshop. And this time I'm going to place that image right into my document. Okay, so I'm going to go to File, Place Embedded. And then I'm going to grab this picture, and I'm just going to double click, and it should pop it right in there. What's going to happen is it's going to put it on the top of our layer stack. So it's taking a really long time. All right, there we go. So it put it, oh, my computer is being glitchy right now. Okay, so it put it right on top of our layer stack. So what I'm going to do is make it a little bit bigger. So I'm going to hold Command T to transform, and I'm just going to stretch it out. And then I'm going to hit Enter or Return or this check mark to commit that transformation. And then I'm going to drag it to the bottom of my layer stack. Okay, so I put those eyelashes on here and the silhouette. I want to group those together so they move together anytime I move my person. So I'm going to click on my first layer, hold Shift, click on my second layer, and then I'm going to right click with my mouse, and I'm going to hit Link Layers. Now when I move her, she'll move, her eyelashes will move with her. Okay, all right, so what we're going to do is we're going to change the color of our wallpaper. and I'm going to show you what a blending mode is. Okay, so blending modes can be found right here. And if you go through, sometimes things happen, sometimes they don't. Okay, so you're just going to have to go through each one and see. Oh my gosh, these are not working very well with this. It doesn't like the background color of white is what it's doing. Okay, so for this one, like luminosity works, it turns it to gray. Difference works, it turns it to blue. Pin light, linear light, hard light, those all work. Okay. Now again, you don't have to do this. It's just learning how to use these different tools and seeing what happens. Okay, I'm actually just going to leave it like this. And the last thing I'm going to do is add a frame. So if you go back to the folder in Google Classroom, I go to add-ons and I go to frames. There is a file here. So I'm going to click on these three dots and I'm going to hit download. Now I want you to use these frames because I want them to all be kind of similar. So we're going to hang these up on the bulletin board. So I'm going to go to File, Open, and open up this frame section. And what I'm going to do is I need to select them just like I selected my person. So I can go to my object selection tool. So just click here. And then I'm going to actually, this time, I'm going to click on rectangle, but this time I'm going to click and drag out the frame. So I'm going to click and select the frame that I want to use. Okay, so I'm dragging out, and what happened is it gave me marching ants all the way around it. Okay, so if I do Command C to copy, go back to my silhouette, and Command V to paste, so it pasted it behind my picture. So I'm going to drag my layer up to bring it to the front, to the top, and then Command T to transform, and then I need to hold Shift when I'm doing this. Okay, so if I click Shift, hold Shift, and then I'm going to hit Return or Enter or the check mark to confirm that, and then I can come back in here and go to my Move tool and move her around. I can even make it a little bit bigger if I wanted to. So I need to hold Shift if I'm making it bigger. Okay, so it's super important that you're holding Shift. All right, so you want it to be about center. So that pink line that keeps showing up, that's showing me where my center line in Photoshop is. Okay. All right, that looks pretty good. Okay, it's that simple. All right, so if you need to go back in now and clean up using your brush, you can still do that. But oh my gosh, I don't know why it keeps doing that to me. Not your brush, your eraser tool, sorry. So remember, making your brush bigger and smaller. Whoa, every time. I don't know what is going on with my brush. So you can come in and clean things up. If you make a mistake, Command Z will undo and allow you to go back. All right, when you are all done, you are going to save your file as a Photoshop document. You're going to name it first initial, last name _ silhouette, and make sure that the file type is a PSD or Photoshop. And then hit save in your Google Drive. My drive is not installed on my personal computer, so it's not installed on here. Please make sure you're putting it in your Google Drive in your photo folder. Maybe give it another name as Silhouette, and then hit save. And then you're going to export file, export as. You're going to make sure your format is a JPEG. Leave everything else defaulted and then hit export. And again, put it into your download folder and export. And then you're going to turn both of those files into Google Classroom.